Welcome to April's Garage, and Tyler's feeling a little smug because we got some news about the Cybertruck that was pretty much expected. But take a look at this video he posted, what, 6 months ago?
The control arms, they do look very, very dinky, thin, small. I mean, this is it right here as far as the thickness. It is not thicker than my finger all the way across. And this is supposed to be an off-road vehicle. You see the big airbag there. That is not a very beefy upper control arm.
So that's a bit of a problem right there.
Mm-hmm.
I
called it. I called it. Yes. I compared the upper control arm of the Cybertruck.
Right.
Very frail, very small, very chintzy, cheapy looking compared to my van that has a very, beefy upper control arm,
Sure, but why do you think Tesla did that? Why do you think the Cybertruck did that?
To save money.
Right.
And they hadn't built a truck before, so they didn't know. So now, here we are 6 months later. I guess it's only happened once, and who knows what this guy was doing. Was he taking a jump? He wouldn't say what he was doing because insurance paid for this and he didn't want to get it canceled or whatever.
Okay.
But he says it was a really bad pothole at speed, and take a look at the picture.
So this is a guy's Cybertruck.
Right.
That he damaged the control arm.
Right. So that is the upper control arm. It is destroyed, annihilated, and then that punched the strut and everything else through the frame of the truck. $32,000 at insurance.
What? No, that's not something you can just weld back together. $32,000 is a lot of money.
It could not take a hit. So we saw Whistling Diesel where the trailer hitch, pulled the frame off and all that stuff.
Which out of his whole video, he did so many crazy stuff, but that was the news.
Not a very beefy frame.
Right.
No. And then this one, yes, he was doing something a little more crazy than he would probably, just driving on a dirt road and hitting a pothole.
Right.
Obviously. But to have that level of failure on a truck.
That's a little tricky because they're not old. They're still new trucks right now. And so for that to happen on something pretty much brand spanking new is a little interesting.
Yep. Yeah, but good for the owner. He's able to turn it into insurance. It was 22 pages of parts and then replacing the frame. So this is like taking apart a billion pieces of the Cybertruck and then putting it back together with a new frame. It took months and months, I think 4 months before he got his truck back. And yeah, how about that?
I mean, there's a learning curve with new things that come out all the time, and then we renovate them. When planes were first starting to fly, and we had to learn the hard way of what not to do and put fail-safes in, and I feel like that's what's happening with the Cybertruck.
They've been making upper control arms in cars.
I just feel bad for Tesla. I feel bad because there's so much bad press about the Cybertruck, and I think it's still kind of a cool truck.
Well, ever since independent front suspension, so the Model A doesn't have an upper control arm. I don't know, leaf springs, on either side, but for 50, 60, 70 years, every car has had something like this. I guess there's plenty of torsion bar suspension and things that's different. But
do you think they would do a recall on control arms for every Cybertruck if this keeps happening?
They would have to. Obviously, it becomes a safety issue, where the front suspension collapses and things. But you probably have to be doing something pretty stupid. But then, they engineered the Ford Raptor to take jumps to where the upper control arm never failed. The Ram TRX, all that stuff. So you make a beefy control arm on a truck. You need to do that.
Of course. That's
obviously, a car one, you can get away with it. But on a truck, you're going to be doing some off-roady, high-load, high-impact things.
Right.
Maybe you make it a little bit better.
Well, I just have a feeling we're not going to be seeing the Cybertruck. There's so many issues, so many problems. You can't drive it in Europe because it's not safe for pedestrians. I don't see where the Cybertruck is going.
You'll see them at dealerships. Is where you'll see them because they are piling up inventory. Walk in right now, buy a Tesla Cybertruck, which is so funny because whatever it was 9 months ago.
Right.
We were so cool going in and getting our name on the list after years and years of waiting and being able to pick it up and go, look at me and flex for a couple of months.
Sure. It was
now,
fun.
Just like the Toyota Prius when it came out, just like the PT Cruiser when it came out, just like many other mass-produced popular cars in the day.
Right.
Now anybody get a hold of them, and used Foundation series are in the 70s at this point.
Right. Well, new Foundation series are sitting on the lots, and I actually just read, I don't know how true it is, but read that they're shipping a bunch of them to Canada to offload, but taking the badging off of the Foundation series, which is an extra, $20,000, making them into regular Cybertrucks just by taking the badging off.
Well, because they were supposed to come with full self-driving, which that software, you just take it off, and then what else was there compared to the $80,000
Right. What
truck?
is the $20,000
Like the special
foundation
interior
series?
and yeah, but they were laser etched on there. So
Right.
are they like sanding down the stainless steel, and then like buffing it, like okay, it's not a
They're
foundation
just
series
put
anymore.
a different brand on top of it.
Right, they're
or
putting a sticker, yeah, the Canada edition. No Canada edition for exactly.
Yeah. So now you'll be seeing them over there.
Wonderful.
Quite a lot, but also there's a new article circulating around where Tesla was lobbying in Europe for the government to put higher restrictions and prices on ICE cars, internal combustion cars.
So the opposite of like rebates.
Right.
For electric cars,
Right.
make the gas cars more expensive.
Because you're polluting, and we need to clean up what you're polluting, which doesn't equal out because there's all the talk about you do a lot of pollution when you're making these electric vehicles, so it kind of equals out. But they're trying to mandate it so it costs more to buy a polluting car versus an EV car, which then there's also the discussion of getting all that electricity and how much you're polluting to make, generate, and store all that electricity.
Right. Yeah.
So it doesn't quite make sense, doesn't quite reach there.
I don't step into that. I know Elon has not wanted any kind of rebates on electric cars at all, period. So this is the opposite of it, I suppose.
Right.
An interesting approach, because obviously he's well positioned enough to ride out this competition of all these EVs being made right now, to where they'll all come out at once and they'll all go bankrupt, and it'll be down to a few that survive at the very end. And
what happens if they really do that? If they make internal combustion cars so expensive, we're almost forced to buy EV cars.
They're already very expensive. So that, it'd be weird. That's a punishment on people that are already having to pay a lot for cars because of all the safety and all the stuff that they've had to build into cheap cars now, where you can't go buy a Yugo for $5,000 anymore because like it would, all the engineering for the safety. Well, I'm just saying, like a cheap Econo box has to have so much safety and so much stuff engineered into it that it's hard to build a really cheap car nowadays and make any money doing it.
Right.
So it's really weird. I am not a big fan of the rebates personally, and it's interesting because like in Colorado, they're advertising the $0 a month lease on certain cars because Colorado has their own, I think, $7,500, $7,000 rebate, and then there's the federal one for $7,000, $7,500. So you can literally lease a brand new Fiat 500e for $0 a month. Zippo. Zip.
What?
All you have to pay is the tax on every month with the payment, which is like $60-something a month, and you can have a basically free 500e.
No.
It's not a joke. It's not like this. There's
Really?
there's YouTubers that are literally doing it. They just have to live in Colorado. So like my sister lives in Colorado. She could lease me a 500e and I have a free hoopty.
She's talking about getting a new car, actually. Something fun and cool. I don't know if that's fun and cool for her, but it'd be cheap and affordable. So it'd be great.
It's interesting. The thing that I want, though, the massive, massive depreciation, though, is
Cadillac Escalade. You already have one.
No. The Model S Plaid.
Oh, yes, of
so
course.
2021, it was a $150,000 car selling for over MSRP.
Right.
And now they're like $100,000 off in 4 years. One's in good shape, not hooptied out.
Right.
You can have the fastest accelerating car on the planet. Like
I would
2 seconds 0 to 60.
a lot more comfortable doing that if there were reliable replacement batteries on the market. Because it makes me nervous right now.
They're still under warranty with Tesla. They're still.
But for how long? And how long are those batteries going to last? Like that's
forget.
where I feel like we need to get that technology there.
Is it 7 or 8 years or is it 10 years? Something like that. So there's still plenty of battery warranty left. I went through all that with the very early Teslas.
Right.
They've refined their battery making and the screw-ups and all that stuff to where the batteries are pretty reliable. The other parts of the cars, the warranty is long gone. All the electronics and the module failures, the screen failures and all that stuff, the suspension's air ride and that pops, like the control arms wear out a lot on the Model S's and things. That's stuff to worry about over the batteries. The drive motors, too, can start to get noisy and things. So that's something to think about. The battery is the last thing that I think about. But $100,000 off in 4 years. Like all the idiots that paid $150,000 to get Elon's yoke cool car.
Right.
And man, did they eat it hard.
I just think it's so hot that you know all that stuff about cars and electric cars. Whew!
I don't know how I stumbled into all this, but yeah, it's embarrassing. But yeah, obviously, you bought the Lyriq.
Yes.
So that was way cheaper than new. But is there another like highly depreciated electric car that you would want?
I think the Plaid's really cool. It's insanely, like it's scary fast. The instant acceleration on that it blows my mind. I feel like it's not safe, but it's really fun.
Right.
I feel like the government might even put some sort of limiting chip on there.
The Lucid?
The Lucid is very sexy cars too.
A Rivian?
And
You like the boxiness of the
Rivian's
Rivian.
great, but that's such like the Rivian set a precedent where new companies and kind of like startup companies can get into the car space, you know, because it breaks my heart with like the Tucker back in the day where they're trying to renovate and do something new and fun and cool and they've kind of got shut out, or who knows the real story of how Tucker went under. But I really like Rivian because they've kind of bridged that gap of you can start a new EV startup.
They're starting to get under 50.
Really?
A Rivian truck.
Wow.
R1T.
Okay.
Not bad for 2022. So
Right.
pretty good depreciation there. Lucid, we did a video where it was like half, you know,
Sure.
so $100,000+ off because they're so expensive.
But what is
I think
it?
I'd rather have the Plaid.
Why is the value dropping on EVs so hard right out of the gate?
Because people are scared, like you said, of the catastrophic maintenance and repairs and all that stuff as they age.
Sure.
It's like a piece of software. It's like a computer that just it doesn't age very well.
Sure.
And the newest stuff, the latest software and everything, it advances so quickly that it makes sense that these cars seem obsolete and cheap just as quickly.
Right, which also kind of hands it out to the Bugatti that you
Right.
got because there are no digital screens in there to make it look dated. I feel like that's a huge thing, obviously, with Corvettes, right? When you get in, you don't even need to see the exterior of the Corvette to know what decade it's from because you just kind of look at that crystal liquid screen or whatever digital type screen, if it even has digital screen, and you can guess what year it's from, which is probably the same for EVs. You can see the tech and how big it updates every single year.
Yes. Well, Jacques is our camera editor.
Yes.
Jake, he has that BMW i3.
Right.
Which is insane depreciation and all that stuff.
The roof on it is all getting degraded. Is that real carbon,
carbon fiber, yeah.
That's real carbon fiber?
Are you just going to crap on his car immediately? It's a cool thing.
I didn't know
Come on.
carbon fiber would fade and the
Sure
color
it does, yeah.
would kind of turn in different
You just
colors.
re-cleared. It's not a big deal. I'm sorry, Jake. I'm sorry. No, it's a cool car. For
It's a
what
very
it is,
cool
yeah.
car. It's been kind of lived in and used, and it's still keeping up.
I mean, say something nice. You
And,
say one generic compliment, and then you talk about like, man, it's really like.
Well, a
piece of
man
crap.
that drives an i3, he doesn't need to show off because he's packing.
He's got a BMW. He's driving a BMW. It's still.
You
he's
totally
still showing
missed
off.
what I said.
I heard what you said. I heard what you said.
It's like Elliot with his Prius. Doesn't need to show off because he doesn't need to show
I
off.
used Prius. Yeah, wonderful. Okay,
Yeah.
now we're talking about my friends.
Thanks very much for watching. Tyler is
not
now
need for
traumatized.
compensating.